Hi, my name is Avery Bruner, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my restaurant concept idea called Decadence. So, the actual concept for Decadence is that it's going to be a very uniquely themed restaurant. It's called Decadence because each room is inspired and will look like a different decade. There's going to be 4 different rooms, so 1950s, the 70s, the 80s, and the early 2000s, as well as a full bar that will look and feel like a 1920s prohibition speakeasy. The decoration, music, and lighting, as well as the menu, will accurately reflect the time period. So the menu will feature actual dishes, appetizers, desserts, and cocktails that were made and eaten in that time period. Decadence is a reservation-only restaurant. The reason for this is because when guests come to make their reservation, they can request what decade they want to be in. This avoids a group of walk-in coming in expecting to be sat in the 1970s, but instead are sat in the early 2000s and are a little disappointed with what they came to experience. So for the actual location of Decadence, it is here in Lubbock. It's in the southern part of Lubbock, over in a very residential area with lots of families, and there's lots of big name brand stores around, like Starbucks, and it's over by the brand new HEB and a couple of churches as well. The space was actually a former sports bar and grill, so it does come equipped with heavy restaurant equipment that we would need to run it. The contract is a 10-year lease, and the way that it's priced out is $27 per square foot per year. Now, after calculating all of this, it comes to around $178,000 per year to rent out the space. As far as the actual exterior of the building, I believe that it fits in perfectly with the theme. It has cottage-style roofing and beautiful ivory stone on the outside. It's a big space with just over 6,000 square feet, and my personal favorite, lots of parking spots. Our target market is young families with an average of about 2 children and make around $130,000 a year. This is the average income of that residential area here in Lubbock. Another audience that I would like to cater to and appeal to are going to be 2 different generations, the baby boomers and Generation X. The reason for this is that they can appreciate the nostalgia of what's going to be put into this restaurant. They can come in and experience food and music that they haven't seen since possibly their childhood. And they can come in and experience all those fun things and remember all those fun things with those around them. Our mission at Decadence is to provide a fun, safe, and family-friendly dining experience that captures America's best dishes throughout time with uncompromising quality and entertainment. There are so many advantages that come with bringing a restaurant like Decadence to Lubbock. The first being that there are none like it here. These types of restaurants are located in big cities, and Lubbock is just not one of those. People have to go to Fort Worth or Dallas to experience something like that, and we can bring that type of fun to Lubbock. With Decadence being the only of its kind, we're able to reach an entire new target market group. A lot of restaurants and businesses in Lubbock only cater to college kids in that demographic, meaning that they're looking for a quick and cheap and a bite to eat with for a couple drinks before or after a game. Decadence is not about that. We want a fun, full experience for the whole family for any age. My favorite reason and my favorite advantage is that we can use college students to our advantage. There are so many college kids in this area and in the RHIM program, like myself, who are infiltrating this industry and they're learning how to run it. By using them to our advantage, we can reach that demographic of college kids that we initially weren't reaching. We can use college-age employees to help us target and reach that demographic and bring another target market to us. So the ownership structure will be a sole proprietorship. And the reason for this is so that I can make every decision and there is not a lot of government interference. And should I ever need to shut the business down and walk away from it, I can do so knowing that I haven't interfered in anyone's personal or financial lives. As far as staffing, for our servers, our hosts, and even our bussers, we want employees who are excited and who can really lean into the role of the job. They need to be committed to playing the part and have a positive attitude doing it. And this attitude needs to bleed over into management as well. For our kitchen staff, we're going to need people who are versatile and can learn quickly and can learn a lot of things quickly. Because each menu is different depending on the decade, there are essentially going to be 4 different menus. Our kitchen staff would need to know all of the recipes for the most part, not exactly have them all memorized. And the way that they will be scheduled to make it easier on them is they're going to be scheduled by decade. So if they come in for the night and they're working 1970s, they're only going to be making the 1970s recipes. I'm doing this to ensure that there is consistent recipe and outlook every single time. Here's an example of one of the menus that I've created. This one obviously is from the 1950s. And when I was creating the graphics and design for this menu, I wanted to accurately capture that aesthetic without it being cheesy. As you can see, the dishes and the drinks and the appetizers on here are actual real dishes that were made and were popular in the 1950s. This sort of authenticity is something that's important to me when speaking about the menus. I want the menus to be just right, and I want them to accurately represent and accurately be cooked and served the way that they were in that decade. As far as the actual layout of the restaurant, what I had in mind is the host stand up front, where guests will be greeted by the host. Then when they walk back, it opens into a big open area with the bar in the 1920s decade. And then on either side of the bar is going to be two rooms. So 2 rooms on this side, two rooms on that side, or the decades. And then off to the back and kind of towards the side will be the kitchen and the restrooms. Here are some of my design inspiration pictures. We have the 50s, the 70s, the 80s, and then the Prohibition era. So this section is the sales projection for the first year of business. Going based off the average check amount, the maximum seating capacity, and our turnover rate, we can estimate that in the first year in revenue alone, we'll make just over $8 million. After subtracting all of our expenses, meaning food, liquor, labor, and the cost of renting out the space, we get a number of just under $6,500,000. After all of that and subtracting our costs from our sales, we can see that we will make a profit of just over $1,600,000. Of that profit, 81% of it was food, 18% of it was liquor, and 1% was miscellaneous like merchandise or birthday party rental space, things like that. In order for us to break even or to make our money back, we would need to make at least that $6,500,000 in order to earn all of our money back. So this is the part where I ask for your help and for your investment. There is an initial requirement of $750,000 to start this business. I have saved up personally $800,000 of it, and I'm asking for $300,000 more. The reason for me going so far over the requirement is to have room for error for anything. There are so many good reasons to invest, but the main point is that it's unique to Lubbock. It's non-exclusive to our college students, it's family-friendly, and nostalgia is a huge trend right now, and it's a huge opportunity for us to infiltrate the market in a town like Lubbock where it's solely college kids. Thank you so much for your time, and I really hope that you consider investing in Decadence. It's a huge opportunity for Lubbock, and I'd love for you to be a part.